Welcome to Home, Space and Reason, a podcast about creating a home that thrives.
Hi there, I'm Christina Browning, your host. If you know your home could be so much more than it is, I discuss home functionality, aesthetics, and automation. I'm a realtor in Portland, Oregon, and a home functionality coach. I geek out on every subject imaginable regarding your home and yard, challenging you to think of your space differently to get the most out of every square foot. I pose questions for you to think through about your space and your reason. This podcast is all positive, offering you virtual fist bumps and celebrating every win. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect, but you can still aim for your best every day. Join me on social media by searching for the handle Space and Reason. In this episode, let's discuss baths, bathtubs, and the experience of bathing in our homes. Anne Lamont said, quote, "All I ever wanted since I arrived here on Earth were things that turned out to be within reach. The same things I needed as a baby. To go from cold to warm, lonely to held, the vessel to the giver, empty to full. You can change the world with a hot bath if you sink into it from a place of knowing that you are worth profound care, even when you're dirty and rattled. Who knew?" End quote. My first memory of a bath for relaxation was when I had my first sleepover with my neighborhood friend. At my house, we bathed to be clean, but the anxiety of spending the night somewhere new when I was little made me homesick. And so Sandy Heath drew a warm bath and sat me in it. I thought it was wonderful. I'd never thought of a bath before as so soothing and comforting. That evening would change my perspective forever. Did you know if we look back to the 1500s, most people got married in June because they took their yearly bath in May, and they still smelled pretty good by June. Since they were starting to smell, however, brides carried a bouquet of flowers to hide body odor, hence the custom today of carrying a bouquet when getting married. Amy Azzarito wrote a delightful book that I have sometimes shared excerpts from. It's called The Elements of a Home. And for this delightful and relaxing episode, I wanted to share from pages 10, 11, and 12. Curiosities behind everyday household objects. As always, I will cite and link the publication in the show notes in case you'd like to reference it or buy a copy. I appreciate it because of my love of history and learning where we came from. It can sometimes be more interesting than where we're going. She writes, "If your idea of heaven is a long soak in a hot tub redolent of flowers, you'd feel right home in the royal palace of Mari in Mesopotamia, modern-day Syria. Built more than 3,000 years ago, the palace contained the earliest known private bathing room. The multi-room suite featured a shower and 2 sunken tubs. The queen washed herself in one bathtub and then settled into the other to soak in water scented by perfumed oils. Skipping forward a millennium or so, the bathhouses of Rome took the luxury of Mesopotamia to the nth degree. The Romans were head over heels in love with bathing, which was a public activity for both rich and poor. Of all the things they built, colosseums, basilicas, bridges, their public baths, marvels of technology and design, were arguably their greatest achievement. Utilizing sophisticated plumbing and heating techniques, including heated floors, these elaborate complexes were imposing structures featuring hot baths, tepid baths, cold baths, and open-air swimming pools. Water poured from silver taps, walls were clad in marble, and mosaics were everywhere, even on the ceilings and the bottom of the bathing pools. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europeans continued to enjoy a communal bath, but instead of mosaic-lined pools and marble arches, they bathed in wooden tubs similar to large barrels. Unfortunately for public health and personal hygiene, the arrival of the plague in the 14th century put an end to the bathtub for the next 400 years. Bathing was believed to dilate the pores and allow harmful substances to enter the body. It wasn't until Enlightenment thinking brought about renewed understanding of the importance of cleanliness that Europeans gradually, read modestly, began to dip a toe back into the water, and so began the private bath. This was an era before most homes had running water. In Paris, running water wasn't available to upper stories of buildings until 1865 on the right bank and 1875 on the left. It wasn't until the end of the Civil War that Americans embraced the innovations in technology that made indoor plumbing available to most everyone. Kohler introduced their first clawfoot tub in 1873, and it carried a hefty $200 price tag, which is equivalent to $5,000 today. She goes on to explain that bath bombs started, quote, to preserve a woman's modesty. Bathwater was sometimes clouded with powdered almond paste, bran, or milk, a precursor to the modern-day bath bomb. Bathing is an integral part of Japanese culture. You can find the afuro, a square, deep bathtub that was originally made of lemon-scented hinoki wood, in private homes and communal bathhouses. Japanese bathing etiquette demands that you scrub yourself and rinse thoroughly before submerging yourself up to your neck in scalding hot water, which is used by more than one bather. It's a process not to be rushed, a ritual that is intended to cleanse and rejuvenate the spirit as well as the body. End quote. Not everyone is a bath person. Some can't quiet their mind long enough to linger and soak. Some can't do the consistent heat. Bathtubs were part of most American homes until many homeowners came to the realization that they collected dust for some families, and that the square footage would be better spent in the form of a larger shower or maybe dual sinks. The tub can eat up a lot of real estate, but if it's part of your daily or seasonal routine, it might be worth every square inch. Case in point, in the middle of winter, I take baths several times a week, but in the summer, I may not get in for a few months, opting for quick showers instead. But when we were building our home, we had an interesting conversation with our builder. He said, many families put in a bathtub because they've always lived in a home with one. But when I ask them to seriously consider if they use it, most do not. And we're moving away from the inclusion of bathtubs in primary bathrooms. I found that so interesting, and that self-reflection is important. Think about what kind of experience you want to have. Are you a bath person, or are you a shower-only type? There are people who bathe for the washing of it, and there are people who are connoisseurs of the relaxation part of it, with soaking in salts and steam and bath bombs, all the good bits that come along with a bath. One of my most favorite reference books is by New York Times best-selling author and one of my favorite designers, Emily Henderson. In the new design rules, she outlines the types of bathtubs, and if you're either building or remodeling, size, cost, style, material, and weight will factor into your decision. Here's what you need to know about bathtub types. Standard bathtubs are 5 feet long by 30 inches wide by 14 to 16 inches high. Alcove, freestanding, or drop-in. On average, the standard is the most affordable option. Soaking tubs. Typically, they are the same width and length of a standard tub, but much deeper so you can fully submerge. Prices run from $300 into the thousands, depending on the style and material you choose. Whirlpool. These include jets to target large muscle groups and relieve joint pressure in a massage-like way. Air. Instead of a few concentrated jets, these tubs disperse the air more evenly to create a relaxing, effervescent atmosphere. Walk-in. Typically used by people who need better accessibility, this style often has a door and a seat feature built in. To rejuvenate an old bathtub and extend its life, she recommends that you have it reglazed or refinished, but you may find replacing it a better use of your money. End quote. And now for the questions to ask yourself about your home space and your reason. Question number 1. Do I identify as a bath person? If so, do the people who love you know this? Could you mention bathingculture.com to them as a possible source for future consumable gift ideas for you? Question number 2. If I enjoy baths, but currently don't have my space set up so I can take them, what do I need to do to change that? Specifically identifying one thing I can do this week to move toward having a space that I can unwind and relax in is so helpful. Choose just one thing. Oftentimes, just getting moving in the right direction is enough to tip the scales toward future action. Question number 3. Can I set up a reoccurring appointment with myself for bath time every week? Could I treat it as a reward at the end of my busiest day each week? For example, if I know Wednesdays are my fullest days, could I treat myself to a charcuterie-style dinner in the bathtub every Wednesday night? If you simply don't make time for it, set up a reoccurring appointment for yourself. That means I am a priority to me. If you'd like more of this kind of content, you can subscribe to Little Bits, my weekly newsletter about home functionality, with a short video and a thought for you to think through about your space and your reason. Expect short but close inspections of home details. Find the link to subscribe in the show notes. I came across an article on Byrdie.com, BYRDIE.com, titled How to Create the Perfect Bath from Water Temperature to Scents. And I was fascinated to learn that according to dermatologist Dr. Rachel Nazarian, the perfect bath dermatologically isn't what people usually think of when they want a luxurious retreat in the tub. It reads, quote, ideally, it would be a maximum of 15 minutes with lukewarm, not hot water. It would not use any perfumed or scented bubbly cleansers, says Nazarian regarding the health of your skin during bath time. The worst type of bath is super hot, super long, lots of soap, lots of bubbles, and lots of fragrance. All those things slowly weaken the skin barrier, increasing the risk of dryness, irritation, itch, and inflammation. What? I had no idea. Later, the article informs us about soaking salts. It reads, quote, this addition can make a big difference to the quality of your bath, but only use one. According to Hollinger, magnesium salt flakes are great for physical relaxation, and an Epsom salt soak also does wonders to soothe sore muscles. The best soaks use blends of different types of mineral-rich salts, he says, adding that bathing culture's Big Dipper mineral bath is a favorite, which I'll link to in the show notes. He goes on to say that oatmeal-based cleansers or products and calming ingredients that don't strip much of the natural oil barrier of your skin are key to keeping skin happy during a bath. Oils that are less likely to irritate the skin, such as chamomile, should be used rather than citrus-based oils. End quote. How many projects do you have laying around unfinished? As a realtor, I see firsthand that garages can get lost in unfinished projects. Guest rooms can become junk rooms where unfinished projects get closed behind a door. I've read statistics that more than half of the U.S. homeowners have at least one uncompleted home project. Unfinished projects can add stress to your daily life. They just sit there as a reminder to all the things you're supposed to be doing, especially when you see the unfinished projects lying around every single day and rendering entire spaces and rooms unusable. How do we finish what we've already started, and how can we prevent this cycle from happening again? Come geek out with me on episode 33 called Finishing and Revising Home Projects. Also, this is a good one to listen to if you're stuck down the road on getting your mind right to finish a project. You can always listen again. I'll link it in the show notes. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Keep taking some sort of action every day. And one day you'll look back and notice how far you've come. Notice your self-talk. Keep it positive. I am capable. Thanks for hanging out with me today and chatting about creating a home that thrives. If you happen to live in the greater metro Portland, Oregon area and you'd like to collaborate with me on a new build, hire me for some home functionality direction, or as your realtor, reach out to me by clicking the link in the show notes or visit my website, spaceandreason.com. Thanks for visiting with me today. I'll meet you back here for the next episode.